Kristen, hi, Professor Delaplane here. Yes, I'm also glad the holidays are over. It was a bit crazy for me. I do like the holiday season for Christmas and New Year's. I do enjoy it. But back to life as we know it. And you did a really good job with your layer masks. So I'll show you how I see this. If I select my background layer, have black as my foreground color, and hit Alt Delete. Alt Delete will fill with the foreground color. So I can see now that there's no stray pixels and garbage. So this will be good for next week when you bring in a background. Okay. So let me undo that. And okay. So what you need to do is scale your character up. It's a little bit too small. All right. So it should fit within a 6 by 8 inch area. So if I bring over guidelines from the edges where it says where the rulers are, if you don't see the rulers, just hit Control R. Okay. And then you can simply click and drag down. Okay, on the ruler, so the horizontal one at the 1 inch mark, and down here. So this is 8 inches in between guidelines, and then I'll bring it 1 inch in here, and then 1 inch before the end. So this is your roughly your 6 by 8 inch area. So if I click on layer 5 and shift click the top layer, what is this here? Is this, oh, it's a little thing. Okay. All right. So now I have all these layers active. So if I now hit Control T, that puts a bounding box around all of the active layers. Okay. So I can move everything and scale everything at the same time. Okay. So I'm going to roughly visually set to this and then click on any corner and click and hold down the cursor and start dragging outward. As I'm dragging, I'm holding down the Shift key to constrain it so it doesn't get too fat or too thin. And then the Alt key will scale out from the center point. Okay, whoops, what's going on here? Let me just undo that 1 second here. Okay, so I'm clicking, dragging, the Shift key constrains, and then holding down the Alt key. What happened to the center point here? Something odd happened here. I don't know what happened. I may have accidentally just moved the center point. So I basically want to scale this up and let go of the Shift key and the Alt key before I let go of the mouse, so it doesn't jump out of constrainment. So I'm scaled this up a little bit, and roughly something like that. So I'll now hit Enter to apply the transformation. And now what you want to do is make everything look like it's connected somehow. So obviously, little Campbell soup cup is on top of the dresser or cabinet or whatever you want to call it, bookshelf. And then you have the arms attached here to the sides, although this right one, that looks a little odd. Now the keys down here, this is where you could do something that makes this a little more interesting. I'm going to select the keys layer. All right, so let me just click away. All right, and now, okay, so let me see here. All right, I'm going to note I have that. So let me just do this. So what I want to do now is give some kind of animation to this, have some fun with this. So if I hit Control T again, this allows me to rotate. Okay, so it will rotate around that center point here, which is right here. So if I move the center point, let's say here, it will rotate around that point. All right, so I want it to look like he's kind of dancing. All right, so I'm going to do something like this and then move it down. All right, so there we go. So I'm going to hit Enter to apply the transformation. And now what I could do is click and shift click, select everything, and now move it up a little bit. All right, so there you go. So now we have the keys here. Let me zoom in. Spacebar control is the shortcut for zooming in from any tool. All right, gives you the plus sign. If it's spacebar control Alt, you'll be able to zoom out. Okay, a little shortcut there. So spacebar control zoom in. Okay. Now I want this to all look connected. Okay, remember. So let me just see this little piece here. I appreciate that extra effort. So let's make it look like it's going through the wood of this shelf down here. Okay. So what we're going to do is go to my paintbrush tool. Make sure black is my foreground color. Click on the paintbrush size window here, a little button here. Make sure it's at 100% opacity, hardness. And then you're going to select the layer mask. Okay. Now, wherever you paint with black, it will mask out the image. So I want to mask out part of the keys that is going through the wood to make it look like it's going through the wood. So I'm gonna let's see, click here. I have this, and now it's not working. Let me see. Sometimes I have a selection that's active. No. Huh. Oh, I had the wrong layer active. Okay, that's why. See, there's a little mistake I made there that is a good mistake because this will happen to you. If something's not working, make sure you have the correct layer active. Okay, so now I have the correct layer active. So now if I click here, whoops, and let me just, that's my son calling. So let me just put this on pause. Okay, back to the task at hand. So we're going to make it look like it's going through the wood. All right, so that's what attaching something means. That's the point I'm trying to make. There's so many different options and variables that, there's no one set blanket rule of thumb here. So to do that, I want to hide part of these keys. All right, so let's make it look like it's going through the wood. So layer mask active, black is the foreground color. I'm going to click and drag, and let's see, I'm going to hide this. All right, and then I will click and shift click to get a straight line. All right, and then it's something just as simple as that. All right, now it's looking like it's going through the wood, coming down and going through the wood again. All right, so there you go. All right, what now? This piece here, I don't know. I'll let you figure out where to put that. Okay. All right, so let me just hit Control 0 to put back in the window there. So now what we'll have here is uh, a character that's animated, maybe moving, and so it'll be especially just that much more interesting. All right, if you could have maybe something that attaches to this, I don't know. I always try to think of something that you could create that's action oriented. All right, to invoke some interest in the viewer. So maybe it's something hanging from here that's looping around, or it's being thrown in the cup, or something that's in the cup is coming out. I don't know. I'll leave that up to you. All right. Okay, I'll stop there. Good job on your layer masks, and consider other things. Consider other ways that you can, make something attached to the sides. You can't see it, unfortunately, but because it's a straight-on view. But yeah, that's okay. All right. All right. I'll stop here. Take care.